Steve, the fishing saga continues.
I can't wait. Why?
Just I haven't caught a fish on the fly yet. So I even went to Pennsylvania because everybody said, there's better trout waters up there. No, that was a wasted weekend of. That's not true.
No, it wasn't. It was
Gorgeous.
It was cathartic and beautiful.
It
and nice
actually
and peaceful.
was. The yellow breeches, particularly around the Boiling Springs area, gorgeous. One of the prettiest waterways I've ever been to. So
How long were you out there not catching the fish?
uh 6 hours on Sunday and 5 hours on
Oh my
on
God, bless
Saturday.
you, fishermen. That's a long time.
It was various spots, and it's about the. I forgot what a big deal trout fishing is in the state of Pennsylvania. That is the
Okay.
main takeaway. Anyways, name of this podcast, Stuff Summer Says with
Steve.
Steve. We are joined by a guest, I think our first coach in season to do an interview with us, and I'm very excited for you to take a listen to this. Head coach of the Penn State men's lacrosse team, Jeff Tambroni, joins us this week for a great conversation about a little bit of everything lacrosse related. Of course, we had to ask him about the replays as well. So there's that. Then you can save your drum roll, but maybe start building your drum roll. Just maybe a couple taps right now for the Hall of Fame ballot. Will be unveiled today, this afternoon. I don't know. Whatever point you are listening to this podcast, it will be up on Tuesday morning, and you can vote. And then I have old guy, young guy, not stressful, I promise. But we are getting close to. It's been a while since we've given you a stressful one. This one is not stressful, but just keep you on your toes there, Sims. All right.
Okay.
Take a listen to our interview with Jeff Tambroni, and we'll be back after this. Steve, I don't know how. This is my first conversation with Jeff Tambroni, and I feel like we have maybe been two ships passing in the night, but I'm very excited for this. Thank you for making some time in season to hang out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Excited to be here.
He was probably like a luxury cruise liner, and you were like a
little kayak.
Thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. I want to ask you this, Jeff, because when I think of Penn State lacrosse and I think of lacrosse in general, I think about growth even since the time I was a student, and even the last few years, it feels like no sport has kind of exploded bigger than lacrosse and maybe Penn State lacrosse. What has fueled the growth of lacrosse, and what has fueled the growth of Penn State lacrosse specifically?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. I think the sport of lacrosse, I would say, just more of the broader question, has just been a great crossover for a lot of sports and a lot of areas that have traditionally just been super popular in like football or basketball. And the spring has been vacant in maybe a little bit more of an active sport, something that's a little bit more field friendly, that their crossover, either in IQ or athleticism, can relate to the soccers, to the hockeys, to the basketballs, to the football. So I think in places like Texas, in California, in Florida, I think the growth has been significant. So I think in the broader context, it's been a great crossover or an additional sport for people who were used to maybe specializing and trying to get away from that for a little bit. And there's a lot of crossover advantages to the IQ and the field athletically that lacrosse can relate. The physicality, the tactics, things of that nature, and just a lot of fun to practice. Here at Penn State, I think we've just been really fortunate with a lot of our stakeholders. I think coming into Penn State 16 years ago, I mean, we certainly recognized the wealth of support. Penn State in general, the community here in State College is just very supportive of people who do things the right way, people who support winning programs. And, the institution here is part and parcel, what Happy Valley is all about. So coming into Penn State, we just knew that as long as we could relate with our community, could relate with our stakeholders, like our alumni, family, and friends, that they were going to support us, tenfold what most programs get. So we've tried to grow slowly over time, but just create a program that could make everyone proud, do things the right way, and try to win in a respectful manner and fashion, but build something that was going to be built to last.
You mentioned 16 years, and I think that's an interesting point in time because right around then is the invention of the Big Ten network. I'm curious for you. We've talked to Guy and we've talked to Pav and a lot of other Erica and a lot of other coaches. How instrumental has the Big Ten network been in kind of growing lacrosse, particularly collegiate lacrosse, and then it's kind of now feel like the snowball down the hill with the PLL and everything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been significant. I think it's a really good point. Like if you got mainstream sports, certainly here in America, like football, basketball, baseball, hockey. I mean, you can turn on ESPN or any number of sports channels and find any one of those sporting events going on, depending on the season. Lacrosse, certainly more of a niche sport. So when it came around, it was a huge advantage. And the lacrosse coaches in the Big Ten were asked to shift, which is normally a Saturday 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock face-off time, into a Sunday slot. Coaches are like myself, just very routine and at first a little bit resistant, but we went to the Sunday night slot and it ended up being a significant impact and growth on Big Ten lacrosse and the sport of lacrosse. The 7 o'clock game was just an absolute home run. So it made a huge difference, allowed much more of a captive audience from not just the Northeast, but really Midwest and West. And so I think, yeah, not just for Penn State, but for Big Ten and for the sport of lacrosse, it made a significant difference. And we're still capitalizing on the viewership here today.
Were you one of the people that said, "Okay, it's changed. I'm going to jump in," or did you hesitate? And then when did people know? Yes, this is a good thing.
Right off the bat, I think the coaches all realized and recognized that this was something we needed to do if we wanted to be taken serious, along with some of the other sports that are quote unquote mainstream. So as much as it's challenging to go all the way through Sunday night and play and then travel home, or we're on buses, not charter planes from, you're getting home at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. We all recognize the benefits in recruiting, in our alumni outreach, all of our stakeholders. So it was an immediate impact. So we all agreed, as long as there was not a competitive advantage, to get into this Sunday night streaming, and the benefits were immediate. You could just tell throughout the course of that first year. And other conferences, ACC, Ivy, we're quite envious about what we had, and that's when we knew we had something just really special.
With all the challenges and changes in sports, whether it's NIL, whether it's a schedule change for you guys, it seems like a coach's happy space is on the practice field and at a game. Like that's the part that hasn't changed and is there. Is that the case for you? And then what are the things that you're still figuring out, do you think, among that? It's not noise, it's necessity.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Just the evolution of college athletics in and of itself has just been so significant over the last number of years. And I'm not just getting into this, so I'm on the latter parts of my career. So certainly consider myself more of a quote unquote old school coach and more of a traditionalist. So I think when COVID hit, transfer portal, NIL, we were a little bit slower to move into this. Just felt like that was not the direction that we wanted to take Penn State's program. It was not the direction that Penn State traditionally, in terms of our stakeholders or our community, and just fit in terms of what we thought our brand was. But we found out quickly that, we were on the wrong side of that and had a couple of really tough years because of it. So I think what we've tried to do with the evolution is stay at or above or in front of as much as we possibly can, play within the rules, transfer portal, NIL in particular, but maintain a sense of core values here at Penn State that we think are symbolic to the community, to the institution, to our program and our program's history. And as long as we are open and honest in our recruiting efforts, as long as we are true to who we've said we wanted to be from day one, we feel like we can still expand into that market and still not compromise in any way, shape, or form the original mission and or the values that we just so deeply believe in. So it has been a little bit of a balancing act, especially for me. I'm 16 years here, 10 years at Cornell, 26 years as head coach. So But at the same time, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the changes because I think it's allowed us to maybe build our team in a different way without compromising. And that's what we just continue to say. If it's going to compromise who we are or what we believe we are as a team, then we say no. If it doesn't, we try to grow competitively as much as we possibly can.
How does it come up in the recruiting process now? We've heard from various coaches that it's anything from the first thing out of the recruit's mouth to the last thing out of the recruit's mouth, and they want it that way. Where and how does it come both from your side and the recruit side, and how do you go about handling that?
It's changed every year. It just continues to be more and more aggressive. And it's hard to predict each year how much more either financial or the conversation needs to open up. I do think that lacrosse as a sport is probably a little bit behind, not probably, is a little bit behind footballs, basketballs, hockeys in terms of the enormity of the dollar sign. But at the same time, it's still a question on every parent, every recruit's mind. And we try to get out in front and talk about kind of where we are as a program, how we go about our recruiting process. We do still try to operate in an environment where we take care of those who have taken care of Penn State, expressed leadership, expressed good citizenship, and our good community members here first versus the rewards prior to arrival. But it's just not the way the world works in athletics anymore. So you have to balance those. And, thankfully we have a very generous alumni base. We have an aggressive, very competitive and generous athletic director. So I think that we have been able to move into this space, have conversations early to get out in front of it. The other side of it is you try to test the waters as much as you possibly can as a head coach and see how much that's going to impact. If that is the first conversation and it's coming in before, what can we do for your son? How can we support him? What vision do we have from the first day they walk on campus until they walk off campus and graduate? We know we're probably not in a great partnership. If it happens more authentically after they've figured out this is a great place, but I know we're getting some offers at other institutions that are comparable to Penn State. I think it's a fair conversation. I think any parent, any athlete, anybody, any professional would want to know what their value is and try to get full value for who they are and what talents they can bring to the table. So I think chronologically, you hope that it happens after you find out this is the place because you believe in us and we believe in you. And when it happens the opposite, it usually does not end all that well.
That's fair. You mentioned the alumni base, and I feel like no alumni base other than maybe men's hockey is particularly as close and as strong as the men's lacrosse base. For you, when you came to Penn State 16 years ago to now, was there a moment or when was the moment when you realized the power of that specific alumni base and what it can do to, and maybe no bigger symbol of that, of course, is the stadium?
Yeah, I would say it, like anything else, at least in my opinion, just meaningful. Most of this stuff happens over time. Like you get organic growth and then you start to couple that growth with, a success here or maybe a failure. And you find out a little bit more of the authenticity of your supporters. Are they there with you win or tie? Or are they there with you no matter what happens? And over time, we got here and, my message, our message as a staff was that it was going to take time, that we wanted to build this respectfully over time. And, I don't know if that's necessarily the way it works today because of the transfer portal. Everyone wants instant satisfaction, but I always feel like the foundation is going to be just so much weaker if you try to build it too quickly. And there's probably not one moment, but if I were to pick to anything, like 2019, when we had a run, got into the Final Four, the first Final Four ever for Penn State, and it happened to be in Philly. So it's at the link in, where the Eagles play, and the enormity of that crowd. So we pull the bus into the link, and there are hundreds of thousands of Penn State lacrosse fans waiting for our bus as we come through. It gives me chills today thinking about it. And at that moment, as we watched the stadium fill up, during that game against Yale back in the day, it was just like, okay, this is what Penn State lacrosse is all about. The ceiling is still, it's up there. It's still up there. We still haven't come close to reaching it, and it will continue to grow if we continue to grow. And I think at that moment we recognized, what we had as a family, as a program, and it was just really a cool thing to be a part of.
You mentioned, I think, competitive and generous as adjectives when you were talking about the athletic director here. You were hired before him. The folks that have been hired recently, talk about his vision. I'm curious, what does his vision mean, or what does that, when people say that, like, do you go to him and say, hey, we could use this? Is he coming to you saying, hey, do you need this? Like, what does that look like for that relationship with a coach that is how you've experienced it, at least?
I think, and this is just an opinion, so I don't know what it's like to be in his seat, and I would never want to be in his seat. He does such a good job doing what he does, but it's nonstop. It's 24 plus hours a day, and when I was hired, it was Tim Curley, and I really respected who he was and what he did, his vision. And he had three people under him that just managed kind of the liaison roles to the head coaches. And it worked for him back then and for us back then. It was a little bit of a different program, and certainly the rules are different now than they were back then. Pat Kraft changed the infrastructure of our administration and provided much more oversight, like a liaison for every program. So there are many more administrators who now oversee programs. And I was a little bit resistant at first because I certainly enjoyed the connection straight to the AD. But I will say this, it's worked out really well. And I give him a lot of credit because of due to the vision of his infrastructure. I think the infrastructure allows far more people to be involved in the entire athletic department. It allows him to be who he needs to be, Pat Kraft, in my opinion, and to have conversations going up and down this chain of command where he can't go 31 sports and be, everything to everyone. Ours happens to be, an associate AD named Herb Combs, who is just deeply involved in our day to day. And then it allows us to just operate, with Herb on a much more personal level. Herb has a seat at the table, as all liaisons do. And then, then when it's needed, when you have to have conversations, it's not out of the blue. It's a constant stream of information back and forth. And Pat does a really good job, I think, of just creating that chain of command, gathering information, disseminating information to all of us as head coaches. And that's where the vision is set. Now, we all know he's super competitive, but I also think he does a really good job of just setting a standard. It's a high standard, but you know exactly where it is. He's very clear in that. And I think when he can, and I think he really is aggressive with this, when he can support and help, he does. And it's not always, because you just can't. There's 31 sports. There's not enough money. There's not enough opportunities. But I think you understand that, that you're going to hear no every once in a while. But at the same time, you're going to have a chance if you give back. It's a two-way street right there. If you give back to win at a really high level for a long time, if you're willing to put the time and effort in.
You're self-aware and have been around enough with both programs, Cornell and Penn State. What do those players share in terms of memories of you? Like, what will they say as a line that is you, or an approach that is you, that is in the DNA of your programs, that if you ask any player that played for you, they'd be like, oh yeah, he's going to say this, or oh yeah, he expects that?
That's another great question. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I think I've had some experiences. I think the longer you're in this, obviously the broader your wisdom grows, wisdom coming from experience and experience, period. And through that, I've endured a number of just really hard tragedies, some just moments where it's been hard to comprehend how to move forward, how to create a plan on supporting and loving teammates in a different way that the game may bring. Like, if you come off the field and you win a game or lose a game, you typically have a decent sense of that. You've been through that as an athlete. Hey, this is what we did, or this is what I said that worked. When you lose a teammate, and or a player that you're coaching, and I've lost my fair share, unfortunately, I think it's a completely different, more fatherly, more parental than it is as a coach. And I hope the one thing that every player from Cornell and Penn State would say is that, man, he really cared on a much deeper level than winning and losing. And the one thing that we've tried to talk to our guys about on a day-to-day basis about what it means to be a great teammate, not what it means to be a great player. Because I see what happens when one is lost, when you don't have the opportunity to tell someone that you love them, or you don't have an opportunity to tell someone how much of an impact he's had on you. That's a hard day. Watching a mother and a father and a brother and a sister have to go through it, but sitting in a locker room and going through the rest of a season with a group of guys that are just kind of wondering, and you as a head coach not really having the playbook on something like this because it's never happened to you. You rely on them as much as they rely on you, and you understand the importance about what it means to be there for someone else. So I hope, you can't imagine it's going to be more tactical. I hope it would be just, and that guy had a lot of passion. And when it came right down to it, we learned a lot about what it meant to be a great teammate.
What gets you out of bed in the morning? Gets you that passion? What gives you, what fuels that passion?
I am fortunate. I one of the things that we do every time a recruit his family comes to town is we ask them, what they do, try to get to know the family a little bit, and do you love what you do? And it's pretty rare. Like I'd say 20% of the parents will say, yeah, I love what I do. Most of them say, well, love, that's probably a little bit of a stretch. I just absolutely love what I do. So it doesn't take a whole lot. Like I can honestly say this, there's never been a day where I've just felt like, oh, I got to go to X. I got to go to work. I got to go to this. And the schedule changes throughout the course of the year, which I'm grateful for. You're in season, you're in recruiting season, you're in fall season, you're in summer season. So it helps. I do just love it. I love what I do. The older I get, I have 3 kids, one who just graduated from Penn State. It does continue to motivate me to just continue to recreate my original thought about what it meant to be a coach, which was more tactical. It was more wins and losses, to where we are now, to be around and try to help mentor young coaches. I got a phenomenal staff, which I'm super grateful for, which has allowed me to step back a little bit and try to recreate the mission of just preparing young men for their lives, not just for games, for their lives. So just continuing to try to be better. I know that we have a pretty strong philosophy in terms of we believe in it, but I also know it's super imperfect. I know I am imperfect. I know our philosophy is imperfect because we're dealing with human beings, and that relationship is constantly evolving with generational. Like each set of kids that come in is just a little bit different. So I know I have so much more to learn, and that also just motivates me to come up and just continue to do it from our players, from our staff, and from others.
I have an actual lacrosse question. Well, maybe not on field, but like, right, I'm curious where is the line? Like in women's basketball, which just finished, there's 5 or 6 teams that are going to win the national championship, and there's a drop off. Where is that line in men's lacrosse? Like, how deep is the national championship contender pool?
Yeah, it is. I would say, like, if you look back 20 years ago, you're probably talking about that. You're probably like in the, realistically, like 5 or 6 schools. Every once in a while you might see someone sneak up into that. But if you look at today, I mean, you can literally go 15 deep and without any question, just say like those schools would all have a chance on any given day. And even further down that line, 20, 25, that anyone can beat anyone on any given day. But to be able to do it 4 straight weekends, to win 4 games, like in 4 rounds of the playoffs, I would say probably 15 teams on any given year. It's definitely getting bigger and broader.
My last lacrosse based question, and then we'll get to the ice cream based question. You guys have been no stranger to replay incidents, I would say might be the best way to put that. What is Jeff Tambroni's solution to replay?
I mean, I think what they've done, the steps that they've taken to get to where we are today, are really positive. And the unfortunate part, to your point, like when we we didn't lose the game because of it, but it certainly would have helped us continue the game. The Final Four game against Duke, it would have allowed us to keep playing. Now, Duke may have won that game, but it would have at least allowed us to take a peek, make sure that if that goal goes in, it's a fair goal, which it would not have been if replay was in place. I do think that based on technology, we can just do a lot better job now that we're doing like the coverage, camera angles, multiple cameras that are being used just need to continue to get better. So we got to invest in this so that, from every angle, you could see it behind the play, to the right of the play, to the left of the play, which would make it a lot better. Because right now it's there, it's in place. Camera angles are limited. Financially, everyone's got to get up to speed in terms of how much we're willing to invest in that infrastructure of replay. But once they do, at least we're now at the iteration where it's not perfect, but it's better. We need probably a couple of more iterations with a little bit more finance being involved, and then it'll just keep getting better and better.
All right. Last question before we get you out of here. What is your go-to creamery ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream is definitely, and I appreciate that being a Penn State guy right now, just talking about the local. Cookies and cream is definitely staple. I don't eat it often, but I would also say this: anything with peanut butter in it, I'm going to it. So I'm a sucker for peanut butter.
All acceptable answers. Well, thank you for making time with us, Jeff. We will be watching the rest of the season as always. Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Steve, that was genuinely one of my favorite interviews we have done. I appreciated Jeff's candidness with us. Like I mentioned, I don't really have a rapport with him. I know you know him a little bit better than I do, but I thought that was really nice of him and really authentic of him. I think for me, what's interesting again, and I think we've heard this a couple of times I know when we talked to Guy about this and we talked to Erica about this, the power of the Big Ten network, not just for football and basketball, but these Olympic sports or Olympic adjacent sports, right? I think that has been a fascinating growth, and it's. I think no sport maybe has benefited more from it than lacrosse in general. I think because it's so much easier now because of the Big Ten network to watch Penn State /college lacrosse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad you went there. Like we went there. I mean, that's what our stock and trade is often with this podcast. So appreciate you doing that. Appreciate him answering. And who knew, right? Like, oh yeah, we had to change the dates. We talked about that, where we're going to play. We saw the benefit. So yeah, his honesty with that stuff, his talking about what players are going to remember from him. I mean, had I known him when I was in college, I might have taken my gym class in lacrosse and not dropped it. So it was because
I didn't know this story. I did not.
Oh yeah, it was last semester of. It was an 8 a.m. class in Greenberg, and I had never played lacrosse before, and I thought, okay, wait a second. How smart is this? Oh, there's going to be some lacrosse bros who played the sport in high school who are looking to beat on somebody 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to go over there and no, this is just not a position for success, so I didn't do it.
What'd you take instead?
Racquetball. That was the one where I almost failed because I didn't go to enough classes, and if my parents are listening to this, that's
not true.
Yeah,
it was that story up.
I almost didn't go. I didn't go the last day of class, and there was some concern about whether or not, because I was at the cafe, and there was some concern about whether.
Why'd you have to retake another semester of college, Steve? Because
I didn't retake. Oh yeah, right, because it would have been the gym class, right? And we debated that. I'm like, oh gosh, we've been here since they opened at 11, and because the gym class was at 2:30. I'm like, I could probably go up and be respectable, and they're like, no, you couldn't. Like, no, and you don't have your equipment. So no. So we're either going to wait and find out if you fail because you've missed it. Because I couldn't remember if I missed 3 classes already or not. Apparently not, or the guy must have just liked me. So
proud of you. All right. Well, that was our interview with Jeff Tambroni. That took a while.
Thank you, Jeff, very much.
Thank
yes.
That was great. All right, Steve. We have a list of names for you to select more names from, sort of, or not more, but these names from.
Yep.
The nominees for the 2026 Penn State Sports Hall of Fame. Our second ever class are. I forgot to pull the link up. Hold on, there we go. High quality show. I'm going to put them in alphabetical order so nobody.
I was going to ask. Okay, yep.
Nobody assumes anything. I don't want anybody being like, "Oh, this is how did Steve get that many votes?" Steve is not one of the.
No, but what if I did get a bunch of votes?
That would be kind of funny.
Because they never took me off the list from from men's volleyball being the public address announcer. Signed up to do it.
He is on one today, folks.
Well, I did. I signed up to do it, and then they didn't.
You hear that, Rodney? Steve is coming for your job.
No kidding. I keep telling him I'm not a letterman.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay, alphabetical list is ready. You good?
All right, here we go. Alyssa Nair, Christy Welsh, Kurt Warner, Joe Batista, John Amici, Kelly Mazzani, Kerry Collins, Kajana Carter, Lenny Moore, Lou Prado, Micah Hancock, Paul Puzlesny, Raquel Rocky Rodriguez, Shane Conlon, Susan Robinson, Taylor Battle, and Wally Triplett.
Alphabetical by first name. Okay.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't. The spreadsheet didn't let me sort it by.
Oh, good. Okay. For a second there, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, by first.
I'm on a roll, but my alphabet's losing me. What a great group of nominees.
I think so too. Like, I think if we were we were talking about this earlier, right? People, they want to get mad at us, whatever. That's fine. But I think there's a comprehensive list. We've got a bunch of different athletes, a bunch of different sports here. We've got a lot of women's basketball players in particular, a couple soccer players, a couple volleyball players. But to me, I think this is like us catching up on 150 years of history. So it's going to take a little bit to get everybody in, but this is all a worthy class, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah. How many people are going to vote? How many are going to make the final cut?
So we are going to do a vote. So it is 17, just kind of with some ties. In the system, we will get down to eight people, no more from one sport. Which, looking at this list, is football. And honestly, there's only 1, 5, 6, 7 football players on the list. So, in theory, 3 people can wait till next year again. For our very official Hall of Fame. Thank you to everybody that submitted. I had almost just as many nominations as we did last year, which I think is great. And then very excited to see how the voting goes. So voting will run all of this week. Pretty simple philosophy. You just need to you pick up to 8 names. If we will only take the first 4 football people essentially off of this list. So keep that in mind. So try not to maybe be wise and only do 4 votes for your football people. From there, then we will unveil the class next week on the blog and on the podcast. I'm quite excited about it.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it too.
Good. All right. Hey, and thanks to Steve Jones for having us on his radio show last week to chat about this.
Yeah, if you missed it, Google Steve Jones show. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. We were probably the best guest he had in that day.
At least
maybe
that hour. Yeah.
Maybe that time slot.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay. So we have another, by the way, we're doing a shorter episode now because we have another episode coming later in the week. That is with Jim Eivler, who is a Penn State alum and an NFL agent. Great conversation. Be sure to look out for that. We got a lot of draft-based content coming up. Like we are all in on the NFL draft because it's in Pennsylvania this year. Right?
There you go. That's why.
So there's that. From there, that's about it. So we got to get the old guy, young guy. This week's old guy, young guy is brought to you by me and Anna being out of town. Well, I will be in town. Anna will be out of town on Friday night. I am going to go see Project Hail Mary again, this time in IMAX. So 2 questions for you. Will you do an IMAX movie? And second question, will you go pay money to see a movie twice?
Not that movie for sure.
What? You didn't like that movie?
Did Susan give you this question?
No.
Wow. Yes, I would pay to see an IMAX movie. I would probably pay to see an IMAX movie.
You didn't like a feel good, saving the world that everybody loves? A great Space Odyssey movie, something that we needed. It was okay.
It was just touching all the typical tropes, right? Like we meet an alien. How did we hear the alien's voice all the time? First time he used a computer and we figured out the language. The rest of the movie, we heard that thing's voice all the time, and I didn't see him carrying that computer around with him so we could hear the voice and amplify it. So logistically, that bugged me. And it was just trying so hard with the rising music at the times when you were supposed to be emotional and whatever else. And because then I knew it was the same guy that wrote The Martian, I kept looking at it saying, oh, it's The Martian, but with company. So
The Martian was a bad movie. I did not enjoy The Martian. I have not read The Martian. I have not read Project Hail Mary.
you didn't feel bad for the Martian when the storm blew through and killed all his crops?
I thought that movie was just, I thought it was a boring movie.
I think that's where I was with this one. And I don't know why. And then Susan loved it. And which is funny that we're asking me.
I didn't.
Because we left and she's like, you didn't like it? I'm like, I don't have to like every movie, do I? Like, it wasn't bad. It was just okay. So she was like fired up because she thought it was really good. She thought it was really good. And I'm like, so it was quiet at home.
Here's the deal. Like, here's why I enjoyed it. It was a semi-original idea, right? Like when everything has been reshoots or sequels or whatever, like at least this was a new idea.
Meeting the aliens and a new idea?
Yeah. You didn't like Rocky. I can't believe you didn't like Rocky.
Rocky didn't have a head. It was hard for me to understand Rocky could talk because he didn't have a head. I didn't like Rocky because I was looking at Rocky from the McDonald's side of the view. Like, okay, what's the plush going to look like? What's going to be the side stuff? Like, how are you going to market this thing? And I couldn't get past that because I couldn't see kids playing with Rocky. So I struggled there too.
I don't even remember what the original Old Guy Young Guy was this week. I'm just so.
Would I watch it? Would you watch a movie in IMAX? And would you pay him for watching a movie a second time? Yes, I would watch a movie in IMAX. I don't know which one. And would I pay for a movie to see a second time? Yes, but not that one. That's all. I can't believe I am shocked. And she listens to the podcast now. Now we're going to be in trouble because she started listening to it. And I love my wife, and the movie was fine. I just didn't think it was as good as she thought it was.
It was a fantastic movie, Steve.
Oh, it was fantastic.
What? Name me a better movie this year.
Oh, I only see like one movie a year.
Exactly.
That's not fair.
You paid money to go see that one. That's why it was a good one.
I guess. I don't know if it was fantastic. Fantastic? What was the last movie I saw in a movie theater, and it would apply to this question because what I see at IMAX was the Wicked stuff.
The Wicked stuff, yes.
Well, both of them. Wicked and Wicked for Good, right? Is that the right names?
Yeah.
So see, there you go. The characters in that were more. I like some of those characters better than I like. Well, there were only two characters in this movie, so I guess that's kind of a low bar. But did the woman singing in the bar humanize her and make her that much better? The project manager lady.
Yeah, I thought that.
Because I felt that one was kind of forced. I'm like, oh, she's going to sing now, and she's going to be human again.
Well, you know.
And I guess honestly, was the big challenge with the movie, and this may help Susan a little bit if she listens this far. I movies that did backtrack lose me to begin with. Like when we got to do the exposition out of order, that messes with me.
So apparently
that was maybe it.
Apparently that is a big. If you've read the book, it's much more clear that he's thinking about those things. Like he's like wrestling with that, and that's bigger plot line of him. Because when he wakes up, this isn't a spoiler, but when he wakes up, he doesn't remember who he is. Like he can barely talk, and there's the whiteboard. That's much more, I guess, explained in the book, as I've been told. And then the backtracking thoughts, that took me a little bit too to kind of figure out.
Yeah, and then when you find out the reason why he couldn't figure it out was spoiler, they forced him on the friggin' thing. Like, I don't know. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was the back and forth. It was a compilation of things. It was the back and forth. It was the lack of a head for Rocky. It was that, and I'll cry at anything. I will cry at home videos.
And we know.
So the fact that they were trying to get me with the swelling music and everything, I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, but not fantastic. I might even give you good, and it was a bad day for me, but not fantastic. Really?
Steve hates when the world.
What's it have on Rotten Tomatoes? Like 98%?
Probably pretty good.
Oh well, I'm sorry.
Anyways,
I'm a
well,
bad person.
I just wow. That's this week's first podcast. We have a second podcast coming later in the week. Thanks to Jeff for joining us. Thanks to Steve for
94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
that's a good score.
It doesn't get much better than that. No.
I only get 6 points better.
Everybody
than that.
knows I'm a curmudgeon, so there it is.
We know.
There's your definite old guy. There you go.
We know.
That's just all it is.
We've known. Okay, so there's that. Please go vote for the Hall of Fame. This is your Hall of Fame. You need to make the Hall of Fame happen. We can't, so to speak. This will also be the last time, at least, we do a class this big. So keep that in mind.
What if is it 8 and ties? Is it like the Masters? It's 8 and ties?
There will be some editorial control when it comes to if there is a tie.
Oh, editorial control. People like that. They'll trust the transparency there.
We're very transparent for the most part. I think
okay, just checking.
I would anticipate there being 8 to 9 names, depending on who gets it. So from there, website called stuffsummersays.com. On that website, there's a section called With Steve. Go read his piece about the NCAA and the White House. Very much enjoyed that last week. So there's that. We've got emails. Mine's Darian at stuffsummersays.com. Steve's is
Steve at stuffsummersays.com.
5 stars, thumbs up, all that stuff. Lastly, you can find me on the internet at Stuff Summer Says. You can find Steve
At Steve Sampsell.
See ya. Bye.